Hello and thanks for joining us. This is episode 9 of Muay TV. I'm Ezra Regan. This is my co-host Justin Samaro, and today we're joined by special guest Steve Sachs. Steve is a 5-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion. He was the 1992 National League Rookie of the Year and the recipient of the 1986 Silver Slugger Award for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Sachs's career in baseball spanned over a decade and played for legendary clubs such as the New York Yankees, Chicago White Sox, and Oakland Athletics. Sachs is the current announcer for the Sacramento River Cats, and he hosts Sachs in the Morning podcast. Mr. Sachs, we are honored to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, Ezra, good to be with you. Good to be with you guys.
It's been years.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Ezra and I have had a long history together in martial arts and as friends and whatnot. So we go back a long ways. And as a matter of fact, when we got our black belt tests, I had to fight the 6'9" monster in my black belt test and in my Shotokan karate black belt test, which they combined as one. It was like a 4-hour test. You remember that? And as soon as we started in the boxing part of it, or the kickboxing part of it, the bell didn't ring, and Ezra stuck me with a front kick from about 65 feet away because his legs are so long, and hit me right in the sternum. I'll never forget that. And then it was great. We both got our degrees, and that was a really good day. Very, very exhausting day. I remember.
Man, I could only imagine 4 hours, man. That's especially having to go up against this giant. You know,
I
don't envy that.
Yeah. I was 19, and then here I am. Sachs is straight out of the big leagues. And amazing shape, and training with my coach. So we would go in, and Steve would be in there, and we were working our way up through the ranks. And our coach Nasser, he would match us. We would do these belt testings, but for upper belt ranks, we had to fight. So you basically were doing a smoker exhibition. Yeah. And for the black rank, it was a 15-minute round. We did one round. There was no breaks, and it was 15 minutes. Yeah. And I had to fight Steve, which was it was a weird situation because here's this baseball legend, and at that point he's probably almost 20 years older than me, and strong. And I remember I didn't know that I caught him.
You caught me.
but after the event, he told me I got him with a front kick and kind of took his wind a little bit, so it made it easier for me that day.
Oh yeah, it was great, and we were just completely antithetical to one another. Ezra is long and rangy, and I was I'm about 6 foot tall, but compared to him, I'm a shorty, and so it was a good matchup. It was 15 minutes long, and we worked with one another. It wasn't like we were going to go out and try to kill one another. We worked with. I mean, we went hard, but we worked with each other and made each other better. And we both got our degrees, and that was a very, very good day. I was so happy. It was one of those days where we trained so long. And when you come to the pinnacle of the whole thing and you pass it, it's great. It's almost like when I passed my Series 7 test when I was going to be a financial consultant. I took that test, but never went to college, and I just had to lock down my life for so long and study to take these tests. And when I passed it, I was beside myself. I actually almost cried. I was so happy. And on the way home, I had to take the test in Reno because there was no other place to take it around here. It was all full. I remember I went the wrong way and I wound up in Susanville, and I didn't even care. My just was happily driving back home and got on the right way. But it was so once you go through something that's so arduous and difficult to do, and the satisfaction that you get, even as a grown up or whatever it may be, is it never seems to lessen. It's still such a great thing when you really put your mind and heart into something and you pass it.
Yeah, there's a lot of satisfaction in that for sure. Yeah. And how long did you train? Was this something that you did during your baseball career, or was this martial arts something that you got into after baseball?
It's something I actually started when I was playing baseball down in Los Angeles. I started doing it there, and didn't really dive into it deeply until after when I retired, and then I joined up Nasser's gym, Nasser Niavaroni, who's a fantastic trainer and a really good man, And so I was really happy to get a good start again. I guess you'd say my second start in it, but that was for good. And that's when I went for my belts.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's crazy to hear that. I mean, you won the World Series twice, and I mean those experiences must have been surreal. And to hear your level of excitement from our smoker, that's just outstanding. I love that.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, baseball. Baseball was something I always dreamed about doing since I was a little boy, and I got to live that dream. I never felt like I had a job in my life. And then martial arts, I've always loved that, and so it's martial arts is like any other sport. You can't con your way through it. You can't be somebody's buddy and do it. It's very demanding, and it's very difficult to do. Just like baseball. Baseball is a really, really hard sport to play. And so if you can get to a certain level and be successful at that, it's just how else could it be anything else but gratifying? And it really is. I feel martial arts is the same way.
Yeah, I felt it so many times. Even, we had an event last weekend, and I still get those chills, when we get all that hard work comes to fruition,
Yes.
and you get the hand raised, and I get to live through all my fighters, all these teenagers and these guys, when they win, I feel it. I feel it with them.
Yeah, I mean it's great. And we're at this point in our lives. Speaking of me, Ezra and I,
I'm a little younger.
yeah, and it's just a different way of understanding the sport. I understand it more now as you get older, and because you see all different sides of it. The training part, the difficult parts of even in the ring and off the ring, where you have to deal with politics, you have to deal with training, you have to deal with making smart decisions in your life. So it's like a mirror of life. It's the same in other sports as well. And you get put to the test, and you can see it all, especially when you retire and get a different level, different look at it.
Yeah, anytime you're training to be a black belt or a lifelong martial artist or athlete, the consistency of waking up and getting back at it and doing it again, no matter if you're sore or tired or whatever, when you're going for something like a black belt, that's going to be something you run into constantly, and that's what that it's a challenge.
Yeah, it is, and that's where the satisfaction is driven from, to go through all that. Everybody knows what black belt means. It has a special ring to it, and it separates, I think, everybody else. And I think it's so great to have a karate background if you're going to be a fighter in whatever type of fighter you are, MMA, kickboxing, whatever it may be. I always thought that having a basic karate background was really good, for stances, distances, kicks, and whatnot.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good basic formula to go forward from there.
Good discipline.
Yeah.
Especially the style that we trained. We trained in the 90s. There was no music. It was a legitimate martial art training. And the foundation that I got from Nasser, that has really helped me in being successful in the later part of my career, even in a different style. Those fundamentals instilled, the discipline, mastering the basics, all the things that come from good.
And Shotokan is more or less known as a hard style. And the basics in that are, they can't be underscored whatsoever. And I always felt that martial arts helped everybody in different aspects of their life, not just in the gym, but outside the gym too. Give you the confidence that because you can protect yourself, you certainly don't have to prove it to anybody. And I think it's well known that once you learn how to protect yourself, you're probably less likely to get into a fight if you know that you don't have to prove yourself.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And letting people push you around, in employment situations or during school or authoritarian figures, those kind of people, until you turn that light switch on and you're like, wow, I can do the hard work, I can defend myself. Those people who like nag at you and have that kind of authoritarian overhead on you, you're not as skittish around those people.
Yeah, you have a tendency to be a little bit more patient. You know what I mean?
Yes, patience is one thing you definitely learn here, because you'll get your ass kicked from people. You're instantly humbled coming into a martial arts. Especially as a guy. Whatever your age range may be, you come in and you size somebody up and you think, I can take this guy, and you quickly realize that you can't.
Right.
And no matter what, even if it's a 18, a young person. I remember in jiu-jitsu, I came in as a 28-year-old. I rolled with a 19-year-old from my first day. First time he wrapped me up in a triangle, and I was like, and I instantly thought, I can, at least hold this guy to the ground. I had no idea.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
it's very humbling.
Absolutely true. I see guys in the gym, kind of littler, kind of scrawnier guys, and you see them go to work in there, and man, they're just like, wow, that's a surprise. That'd be very tough on the street to handle this guy. So I think the appearance is a bit deceptive.
So what brought you up to Sacramento? Did you grow up here?
Yeah, born and raised here. Grew up on a farm in West Sacramento, and it was a great way to grow up. I grew up hating the Dodgers and loving the Giants.
Yeah.
That was always a constant. That was a thread that ran through our family all the time. We hate the Dodgers and we love the Giants. And I told my dad when I was 8 years old, watching the game of the week between the Giants and Dodgers, and I told my dad with my brother there as well. I said, you know what, Dad? If the Dodgers ever drafted me, I wouldn't play for them for $1 million. And that was me in 1968 at the age of 8 years old. And then 10 years later, when those Dodgers drafted me out of high school, it took $985,000 less for me to sign with the LA Dodgers. Yeah, they gave me $15,000. And I was like, whoa, I was the richest person in my family by a long shot. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll do that. I said, give me the pin before you change your mind, and there was no agents or TV or anything there. It was just, yeah, I just wanted a shot, I wanted a shot to play. And I had a full ride to Arizona, and I didn't take it because I wanted to get in the organization at an early start and maybe get in the big league sooner. And it all worked out exactly as I hoped.
It totally did. I mean,
Rookie of the year.
Yeah, 1982, not 92.
Did I say 92?
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, it was a great open, Ezra. Thank you.
Cut.
Don't worry about that. That's all right.
Yeah, that's what a time, what a different time from what we're seeing, even in the 90s, but the ruggedness, the grittiness of the 80s and the ball players, the steroid era that came a little later.
After, right.
But yeah, I mean, it's a cool time to be a part of baseball.
I wish I could
sure.
show you guys some of the things I got from playing baseball.
Yeah, some scars and
I got a couple
memories.
Timmy Raines got me one time in Montreal really good. It was he was running on the pitch, and it was a hard hit ball to short, a one hopper, and he threw to me. And as soon as the ball hit my glove, I threw it to first, and I was hit simultaneously by Tim Raines with the spike. But he was sliding into second. It was a good slide, and I went down. I never saw first base. I threw it, but I never saw first base. And all he looked at was my sock was just solid red. It was bleeding really bad. And by the way, the guy was out at first too. I never saw first, but got in the dugout and they looked at it. It was all the way down to the bone. And here's the difference between playing now and playing then is they put a butterfly on it, and I stayed in the game.
Holy crap!
Yeah, stayed in the game.
Did you change your sock?
I actually saw the bone.
Did they change the sock at least?
No, I didn't. I don't think I did. But it was late in the game, so I just did it afterwards.
Chris, find that photo.
Stayed in the game. Yeah.
Damn. That's.
I have I was a huge baseball fan growing up. I grew up in a baseball neighborhood like Sandlot. We used to bring our bat and ball to school, elementary school. Uh-huh. But I remember Kirk Gibson and the World Series.
88.
Because I was a huge A's fan.
Okay. Sorry to break your heart.
Oh, but I knew you. I knew you from then. Uh-huh. And then it was just crazy years and years later. We were boxing.
Yeah.
Those were images that were ingrained into my mind.
Yeah. It was those are such good times. And I saw Gibby not too long ago, a couple weeks ago in Los Angeles at a game. They were inducting Dusty Baker into the Dodgers Hall of Fame. It's called the Legends of Dodger Baseball. And Gibby was there, and we were all paying tribute to Dusty. And got to see some of my old teammates, some guys that played before me. Got to talk to Sandy Koufax and some really unbelievable legends. So Dodgers still have him around there. They're still Sandy Koufax looks like he could almost still pitch. He looks really good.
Wow.
He's amazing. Yeah. So
what a world to be a part of.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
So you're next.
Oh,
come on!
I don't know about that. I'll be. Hey, I'm just happy to be a part of it, man. It's it's great to still have connections and do things with the Dodgers. I still do quite a bit with them. So I don't technically work for them, but do some events with him and whatnot. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
How do you like announcing for the Rivercats?
I like it. I want to. I've been telling people I want to be in the big league club next year. You know, I probably got 10 more years left to announce, and then they're not going to want anything to do with you after that.
Yeah.
But I could still do it, and I've done radio for 9 years, and I think doing it live in the booth for TV is about 20 times easier than doing it for radio, because radio you have to paint the whole picture. And baseball, baseball, as people watch it, it needs time to breathe when you're watching the game. So it's a lot easier to do it in the booth for a TV game.
Yeah,
Yes,
I could see that.
We've been learning because we've been doing commentary for fighting events, and watching the fight and calling the fight with the people being able to see it.
Yeah.
I kind of do it like an old baseball radio announcer.
He's awesome at it.
Yeah,
I kinda
Ezra's
describe
really
the fight.
good with the mic.
It's almost like you're
really good. Both of you guys are.
Thank you. I appreciate
both
that.
you guys are.
listening to him commentate a fight is like the old New York, Boston, or even like the baseball, and then he comes in his, and he's got that, and here he goes, and with this, he's really good.
That's good.
I grew up on that stuff.
Yeah.
And we always thought that adds to the sporting event.
It does.
Like me and my wife turned on the TV, and Rocky 1, the end fight scene was on the other day, and the fighters are entering their arena, but they had the two announcers, and they're calling the Apollo comes out, and they're part of the show.
Sure.
The voice of the fight,
Yes.
it's huge.
Yes.
The
that's right.
intensity of their voice and their interaction of what they're seeing, it gets you all, but you don't see it on the TV. So those days of announcing is an art.
It sure is.
It really is.
And we were spoiled with the Dodgers because we had Vin Scully as our announcer, and he was the greatest baseball announcer ever. Him and Ernie Harwell probably, I think you could say, were, but Vin is just regarded as the greatest ever. He also did football games too, but and Vin had a great knack for letting the thing breathe, as we talked about before. Sometimes when they would hit a home run, he just knew. Even in that big moment, he knew when to talk at all and when to not say anything. Sometimes really good announcing is by watching him is what you're not saying and just letting it speak for itself.
Sure.
And Vin was a master at that. Master.
That's a great point.
Man,
and I know exactly what you're talking. You just hear the crowd roaring.
And it's okay. So, sometimes people think, well, there's that time where people aren't saying anything. That's okay.
Yeah.
Because the audience is the audience is taking it in and they're thinking along too. And so if you just out there to talk, excuse me, then it's kind of like too much. Sometimes less is more. And just kind of let them breathe and let them see it and kind of feel it a little bit. Nothing wrong with that.
it's so much different than when you put a headset on and you talk to people. And you realize that when you talk without headsets, there's a lot of crosstalk, a lot of talking over, a lot of agreeing, oh, yeah, yeah. And then when you put the headsets on, it's like a totally different art of conversation. And then you have people listening and watching you. And if it's not cohesive and you give those breathers to that moment, it's kind of chaotic in your head. It doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, and you know what else is good is if you have a good chemistry with the guys, like when we're talking here, we got good chemistry here talking with each other. And if you're working with people and they want to be the person, they want to be the main. I'm great with that. It's like, okay, go ahead. I'll just come in when you want me to, you know. But if you have a good chemistry and you're excited about somebody else's being successful too, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So the chemistry you can tell right away, and so if you don't have it, it kind of shines on both of you, you know. So.
It's pretty easy to tell, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty easy to tell. And, we've been experiencing all kinds of stuff like that, just as amateurs, trying to get into commentary and that kind of thing.
Right.
There's a real skill to it. We should have to take the sax course.
Sax course.
I'm going to pay you for one-on-ones.
Oh, God. Okay. All right.
We'll
trade. We'll trade.
Yeah, I'll pad you up.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good trade.
So anyway, I wanted to tell you guys about my podcast too. My podcast is called Sax in the Morning, and it's called. People say, why is it called that? Well, because Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays are 3 to 5 minutes. That's it. 3 to 5 minutes of a shot of inspirational nutrition before you go to work. Just a nice shot of that, keep you in for the first part of the day, and then the rest is up to you. So I try to do 3 to 5 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday now we have a long-form guest who, whoever that may be that we have at the time, and that's like we've been doing that every other Thursday. And I'm going to be on, I'm on kind of a hiatus right now. We're going to start up again next month. It's going to be captured on the Loot 8 network, the Loot 8 platform, which is like a competitor of Patreon, I guess you'd say, is that type of a platform.
Okay.
But you can find it on Apple, Spotify as well. And we've done over 300 shows. I've done over 300 shows so far. So.
Yeah, I just listened to one earlier this morning. I was doing
really?
The last one that you had, the last like 4-minute one that you had put on. From
so you must have gone into the archive and got one of those. Yeah,
yeah, it was
good
on Spotify.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
good.
It was great. I mean, your voice is like it's a perfect thing to listen to.
Thank you.
Cup of coffee, jump in the car, kind of wake your
Thanks.
mind up. No, I liked it. It was great.
So you didn't get any parts where it's like,
Nope.
wake up, right?
No, I went straight. I listened to 4 minutes of that, and then I went straight into the country music to
cool.
get my mind right.
Cool. Thank you.
I like the gardening.
Oh yeah, do you like gardening?
Sax in the garden. Yeah, I do.
you like
I
that
have.
part? Yeah.
Sax in the garden. What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I have I have
love
an
gardening.
unbelievable backyard, and man, my house is full of roses all the time. I love flowers, and I got a flower shop from my mother, and it was great. It was called Flowers by Sax, and it was in Fair Oaks, and she loved it. And then my mom passed away. I sold it because I got it from my mom. But I've always loved and dedicated my backyard flowers to my mom and my son, and so my house is full of roses all the time.
That's
that
cool.
was my mom's favorite rose.
I love roses myself. That was my first job. I worked at a nursery. It was like
Yeah.
for about a year and a half. And
Such a great atmosphere.
It was like
The smell, the look, all of it.
Yeah,
Who
just-
wouldn't like that?
Yeah,
totally.
beautiful.
What's
Yes.
your favorite rose? And do you? I also like roses. So I mean, do you have a varietal that you like?
I like the Mr. Lincolns. That's probably my favorite ones.
The yellow ones?
No, it's a red one. It's
okay.
It's very fragrant. It's a beautiful rose. It's very hardy, and I have a lot of Mr. Lincolns in my house. But besides that, I love Abraham Lincoln. I like history. So that was a perfect rose for me right there. Mr. Lincolns. I think I like that one. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a podcast or a video?
That was just one. I think I did one of the podcasts about gardening, and it was later on too. So
I think you had a couple of them, and it was
Yeah.
just you in the morning. You're talking about it. You're out there, pruning your bushes, and at my house, I'm the guy. I do all the plant care. Wife loves it, but I'm the one that keeps these things alive.
Yeah, that's cool.
But
That's cool.
there's a real skill to it. I've always had a little knack, and I'm very interested. Always nature. I'm in Donner Lake a lot, and I'll go up there and just
up
blown
there.
away by the nature.
That's beautiful up there. Hey, I know you guys were talking a little bit before we started about finance and whatnot. I don't know if either of you guys are into crypto.
I lost a little bit of money in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. You got to be in there for the long term if you're in crypto. I have a lot in crypto, and I'm in it for the next 10 years. So I don't even look at it for 6 months at a time, but because it's just such big fluctuations. But I wanted to tell you about an NFT that a couple of friends of mine that I work with, we put together, and it's called Babe and the Kids, and it's from a 1922 snapshot of Babe Ruth. You probably have seen this before. It's an iconic photo of him getting off a train at a train stop, and there's like 100 kids around him, and Babe Ruth is sitting right in the middle of this sea of kids, and they got these huge smiles on their face because they're around Babe Ruth. You've probably seen that picture.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a very iconic picture. So, Opie Otterstad is an amazing painter. He painted that photo on a mural, and it was on display in New York City at Pop Art Gallery during the All-Star Game in 2008. I walked in there, and they had this thing for current and former players to come in and view all of his work. And I walked in there, I saw this on display, and I said, I got to have this thing. It was just a giant mural of that photo. And the great thing that he did is that he took that photo, painted on this big mural that I now have in my office, because I bought it from him on the spot, with some finagling. But he supplanted the faces of all the kids in that original photo with current Hall of Famers when they were little boys.
Oh, wow.
wow,
So you can
that's
go
cool.
through here. There's 58 of them on there, and you can go through and pick out which one is this, which one is that. I wonder who that is. I wonder. And so what my two guys and I that I work with, we took that the photo that I own, the painting that I own, and we digitized it. So we took it and we digitized. So when you digitize it, it's now in the cloud, and you can put that thing on your Apple Watch. You could put it at SoFi Stadium in LA. It's 129 yards long. It'll look just like the painting. Okay,
Wow.
and then that's the first thing we did. The second thing we did is that we made it interactive. So people can walk by, and if they have their phone or their iPad, they can hit the QR code in the corner, and they can interact because they can put over the face of the kid, and his name will come up. You double-click on it, and there's a 3-minute video of him playing in the big leagues, and the videos we got directly from MLB. So they're highest quality videos.
Well, that's-
Great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That's really cool.
Great idea.
Now, another thing about it is it has a great utility to it. The utility is that every year we have an event. And this coming spring, we're going to have it at Dodgers spring training, where everybody that owns one of these is going to get to go on the field for batting practice. We have a lunch afterwards and then a dinner that night. And what we talk about is the direction of my son's foundation. It's called the Captain John J. Sachs Family Foundation, because a big portion of our proceeds that me and my buddies are getting from this, we're donating to my son's foundation. So they're going to have a say in the direction of the foundation every single year. So it's like a team of 200 people, because there's only going to be 200 of them. So you guys check it out. It's called babeandthekids.com.
That's really cool. And
really
the
cool.
fact that everybody's face is an old ball player's
Yeah.
kid, and you
Right.
can find the information on him
Took
and
them
stuff.
8 years to paint it.
I was going to say that probably took some time. To
8 years, yeah.
get that all.
It's amazing. So you can own it, and you can. So what happens is we send it to you, and you can put it in whatever monitor you want, a TV monitor or however you want it, and you can display that in your house. So it looks exactly like the painting. So
That's
it's
the
really
best explanation of an NFT that I've ever had, because
Because it has some utility to it.
I
You know
was
what I mean?
like, I'd always hear like, what, an NFT, and
Yeah.
this is $1
What's
billion.
a non-fungible token? Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the hell it is.
Yeah.
I just that thing that sits on Joe Rogan's desk from
yeah.
from Beeple.
Yeah. So if they go to babeandthekids.com, they can check it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool.
Babeandthekids.com. Check it out.
Yeah.
So was Babe Ruth one of your big inspirations?
Oh man, Babe Ruth was more than an inspiration. He was the greatest player ever of all time. He could do things nobody else could do on and off the field. He was a superhuman. They did studies on Babe Ruth in 1930 at Columbia University, and they concluded that, for instance, his motor skills, his eyes would move 12% faster than normal men. His strength tests and flexibility tests and all these different tests they put him through, and they concluded in 1930 that he was, remember this is during the Depression, he was 1 in 50 to 60 million men in America. There was only one guy out of 50 million that was like that. And they concluded that in that time, where salaries were, he should have made at least $10 million a year in 1930.
Wow.
I mean, if he was playing today, they wouldn't have enough money to pay him. He'd
Wow.
be worth just more than you can imagine.
What an icon.
Yeah.
What other inspirations besides Babe Ruth did you have growing up?
You know, I had so much guidance in my life from my parents, and my dad was a real tough dude. You know, nothing in the world throws at me is as tough as my dad was. So, you know,
Different times.
Yeah, he was a little tough, too tough sometimes. But you know what? If he wouldn't have been, I don't think I'd have made it, because there were some challenging times I had in professional baseball, and I think that that was a great help for me. And you know, I think family means a lot. It really does. I look at other kids that didn't have a family like I did, and I think, wow, you know, it's such a big advantage, I think, to have a good family. You know, it really does mean a lot.
Yeah, your parents were together the whole time?
Yep.
Never split up?
Nope.
Yep.
They were together forever, and that's all I knew. And, you know, all my relatives were that way. Nobody knew when you went through a divorce, and now, of course, you know, I went through a divorce, and lots of people go through divorces now.
Yep.
But you can still always love your children, and that's the main thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most definitely. Yeah. Co-parenting's hard, but
Yeah.
it's
Can be.
It,
Can be. I think
yeah.
you just keep the focus on the kids, and then everything kind of falls into place. You know,
Well
that's what we
said.
tried to do. Yeah. So anyway,
So
Parents.
So back to the announcing in for the River Cats, but we've heard news that the A's are going to come over
Yep.
and play at the stadium. Is that a confirmed? And if it is confirmed, do you know how long that they're possibly going to be there? And what's some inside scoops that you can tell us?
Yes, it is confirmed, and at least 3 years, probably 4 years, but
Cool.
at
Okay.
least 3. And
Is there an expansion on the stadium that they're going to do, like parking or anything like that? Because I mean, the stadium can become an MLB stadium.
okay,
In
the answer it's not going to be an expansion, and they can't make it an MLB stadium because there's not enough of the underpinnings underneath the stadium to support an upper deck.
Got it.
So what they would do, from what I'm hearing, is the guy that owns the Kings. Of course, now he owns the River Cats and wants to own the A's. He wants to keep them here. So they haven't started building the stadium in Las Vegas where the A's were going to go. That's why they're coming here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good thing for us here in Sacramento. I think the first choice would be the railroad yard. That'd be the first place they'd like to build the new one. And secondly, it would be to tear down the one that's there now, the River Cat Stadium, and rebuild it there. And they would have to, do a lot of underground stuff and to support that upper deck. So that's kind of where it is. From what I understand, I don't know, maybe it's changed, but last I heard, that's kind of where it is right now. So at least 3 years for sure.
Sweet.
That's exciting.
Very exciting.
And we're gonna have the big league clubs staying here in Sacramento.
Oh yeah, and you're gonna have the Dodgers here. You're gonna have the Yankees here. You're gonna have the
Wow,
Orioles.
that-
All the teams will be
Right here in Sac.
Isn't that great? It's
That's
gonna be
amazing.
fantastic. And I think that this city would definitely embrace the team, and I think they would support it big time. I think we'd have a big draw here.
We're a huge baseball city.
Huge.
Sacramento is a baseball town.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
most
baseball and boxing.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Yeah,
You're
dude.
exactly right.
Historically, I'm not joking.
Historically,
No.
you're actually right on that.
Yeah.
Basketball, yeah, we love the Kings and we've adopted the Kings, but this is a baseball and boxing town. Yeah, that's what Sacramento's been for a long, long time.
That River Cats stadium location too. I hope they do it there because that's just a beautiful part of Sacramento.
And a great skyline in the back, in the right
Yes.
center field.
In
It's
the
a-
bridge,
it's
on
yeah.
the bridge,
Beautiful.
Easy access on and off the freeway there. It's right off of, you don't have to get onto the 5 to
Right.
get to the rail yard that you'd probably have to do. And they're going to do a whole bunch of, they're going to do that walkway over the freeway.
Yeah.
That was just approved, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, that'll be a busy little area. I think the West Sacramento spot would be a good spot to keep the.
They're going to have to spend a little money, though. They're right now, the product they have in the field, okay. I think they did better than people thought this year, but they're going to have to spend some money to get, the first or second year, people will still come. After that, if you're not spending money and putting a good product on the field, they're not going to come.
Yeah.
So you've got to build that team, and John Fisher, the owner of the A's, has got loads of money. Spending it's another thing, but he's got tons of money, and I hope he does because wouldn't it be great for the A's to make a big splash if they come and stay in Sacramento and did something big, like maybe win a World Series? I mean, that's the goal, isn't it?
That would
So,
be huge.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like it would be bigger than the Kings winning a. God,
Yeah.
I don't even know what is it.
NBA title.
The NBA, yeah, the championship.
Yeah, it would be.
Not
it
a
would
big
be
baseball
something.
fan.
and just more events like this where live entertainment, where friends and family actually leave their house and go to the ballpark, and that kind of stuff's coming back.
It's
You know,
such a
we've-
great thing for kids.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's amazing.
It's good for them to see what they can strive to work towards.
Yeah.
And we're such a centralized location. When you're in the Bay Area, even if you're in the Bay Area and you got to go to Santa Clara, it could take you 2.5, 3 hours to get from one side of the bay to there. So having some professional sports teams here would be.
I have
more would
I
be
have some
cool.
friends that are here from New York, and I took them to a Giants game. Loved the stadium. They were like crazy about it. Then the next day they went to on Friday they went to the A's game, and they were like, nah.
Oh,
They
the
didn't
poor
like that-
A's.
They didn't like that stadium too much. But-
You
How did
got
that
to
happen?
grow up to love it there. Like it's
No.
not a nice place, that's for sure.
But what happened?
It's a
They
concrete
won,
jungle.
They had all those super teams.
Yeah.
They had the dominance with the Bash brothers and that whole generation, and the World Series wins. Where'd that money go? They should have had a brand new stadium.
That bingo, they should have. And
Wow.
they remember they tried to. They said they're going to have it down at Jack London Square and whatnot. and
Yeah,
never came to fruition.
It's too
But
bad.
yeah, that should, because that's there's a
city
lot
that-
of diehard fans in Oakland that would love that, but it's not going to happen.
Yep. A lot of people, when we have fights down there, they're very skeptical, very cautious of even going into Oakland.
Sure. I mean, it can be a kind of a dangerous place sometimes. Even in Sanford, we saw what happened to Ricky Pearsall. right? The 49ers' first pick, he was doing a card show and doing autographs, and after that he was leaving, and some guy jumped him, tried to steal his watch, and shot him in the chest.
No way.
Went right through his back, and luckily the bullet went in the right side, came out his back, and didn't hit anything. He's been at practice. And that happened like a week ago, and he's already at practice.
Damn.
Yes, that's a bad dude right there.
That is a bad dude.
Yeah. So,
he's like, I'm not letting this ruin my.
God bless him and his family that he's going to be okay.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Didn't strike anything.
Yeah, shot him right through the chest. Amazing. So anyway.
Yeah, the city's kind of crazy. All the break-ins and stuff. Look, videos of just broad daylight, and you're just like, whoa, damn.
Yeah, they got it. I mean, it's that's. That's going down another rabbit hole that I don't know if we want to go down, but there's so much that could be done if you just, prosecute people and do it the right way, but,
Yep.
it's not being done.
Yeah.
So that's what
I did, since we're kind of segueing on it, I did read that you had a little political run. You tried to do some.
Well, I was thinking about running for an assembly seat, and that was way back in the mid-'90s. And I decided I didn't want to do it. You're not going to have any privacy, and I just finished a career where you don't have a lot of privacy, and so I didn't want to do that. I don't need to be looked at in that light anymore. I just kind of want to be. I'm a very private person, and so that's the way I like it. I don't mind doing a podcast like this. I have my own podcast that we talked about. I like doing stuff like that. It's fun. But as far as being way out there in the public, I really didn't want to do that. I enjoy my time and my time with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
I get that. And but yeah, it's great. People still love to hear from you, and I'm sure all the baseball fanatics will be tuning in to hear the sack stories.
I hope so.
Yeah, my dad was. My dad, I always try to get him to watch the podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just mostly fighting and stuff." So, and I was like, "Well, hey, we got Steve Sachs coming on the podcast."
He's like, "Who?"
And yeah, he's like, "Steve Sachs, like the baseball player." I'm like, Steve Sachs. He's like the baseball player? I'm like, "Yeah, Dad." And he's like, "No shit."
No shit.
He's like, "I'll watch that one."
Okay.
All right.
Cool. Yeah. So, your podcast. How long have you've had your podcast going now?
We're in our second year.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, this is episode 10, really.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
We had one episode that didn't really air. It was in my.
This was our
It was
pilot.
in my home.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
We're just kind of testing the waters, but it's been going really well. The Muay Thai and martial art community really support us, and we've had some great guests, including yourself.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
But,
I love watching martial arts still. I mean, it's I think the UFC is quickly becoming such a one of the top sports in the country. No doubt, people love watching it. People from all different sectors of our communities, men and women, they really enjoy watching it. And I think women's boxing has really come a long way too. I mean, so it's all getting bigger. I mean, as we said, it's continuing to grow.
It really is, and we just had ONE FC in Denver yesterday, and that was a big deal. We had the biggest fight on the planet was Haggerty versus Superlek, and they did it in Denver, Colorado. We actually had 3 of our members here from the gym fly out there and go to the event. And these sports are bigger than ever.
Yeah.
The companies and the sponsors behind them, they're putting it on a world level where it's not just fans from this country or that country. It's kind of everyone watching these sports.
Yes.
And great athletes from the women and the men.
Yeah, and you consistently see the talent rise. It's getting better all the time. I think one of the things when it started out, it was just the guys that could wrestle more and weren't very good boxers. But you see that getting better, what they call it, the strikers. They're getting better and better all the time. And that's important because, when it comes down to it, when you get in close quarters, if you can keep the guy from tackling you, the guy that can work his hands is going to be, have a big advantage. So you see these guys now learning to, cover up and learn to throw a punch and get back in cover mode and whatnot and smother the guy at times when they can. So you see them getting much better at the boxing part, which makes it a much a much more fun thing to watch.
Yeah, technically skilled.
So there's been a return to boxing in MMA and even high-level Muay Thai.
Yeah.
They're fighting with the MMA gloves in Muay Thai, so the boxing fundamentals are shining. We saw that in the last event, where a single punch can end it with those little gloves. So your boxing defense and your knowledge of these weapons has to be there.
Yes.
And yeah, the main event, 40 seconds. The Superlek, if you watch the video, you see Superlek waiting and ready to time Haggerty. And Haggerty threw that 1-2, just like he'd been showing on Instagram in the training. And Superlek, right when he threw the right cross, Superlek threw an elbow at the same time and moved his head and caught him on the temple, and that was it.
Wow.
But he just timed him, and it was like the first pitch, when he went for it, and he cracked him.
Yeah.
But it was that timing.
He threw that right, and as Superlek slips offline, he hits that elbow, and it hit him like right in the back of the ear. So
He slips and throws the elbow,
yeah,
right?
he throws
That
the
way.
right, and then here, boom.
Boom! Wow.
Actually, it was on this side of the head.
Yeah, you're right.
I thought it hit him in the shoulder, but it was on this side of the temple.
It was, man, and he had no idea where he was at.
Wow.
And that was, I bet
40 seconds.
$20 on this fight, and I'm like, yeah, let's go Haggerty. He's gonna win. And 40 seconds in, I'm like, damn it.
And when you're throwing the elbow too, it's not necessarily going to be a deep, hard one, but sometimes they use that elbow to slice. The front of the face and and
They just collided, right? He was pressuring.
not that it can't.
It was like a football tackle.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, he timed it right. He knew he was going to come. Haggerty was going to come in heavy, pressuring just like he was doing, and he timed it perfect. And
Wow.
yeah, and Liam Harrison, they had a little elbow war, and watching him do his thing and come, he got knocked down a couple times, and just in classic Liam Harrison style, he'd get back up. But yeah, 30. He's pushing 38 in like a couple of weeks, I guess. And yeah, he just said he can't hang with that type of punishment being that age. And
Well, that's another thing too. Is martial arts really is a young man's sport. I mean,
for sure,
that's something
to take
where
that beating.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be a young man to do that. And some people know that I was in martial arts and say, "You still do that?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah, that's a good way to get killed.
Yeah.
At my age, I don't do. That's a young man sport.
Yeah.
No.
We saw the videos of you hitting the pads, though. I see getting after it and
Oh well,
keeping limber.
That's right, because the pads don't hit back.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those days of sparring are over for me.
Yeah.
I notice in ONE FC, they're trying to keep these older professional fighters, these big names, in the show, and they're not. They're not so old where they can't compete. So these guys are highly marketable.
Yeah.
So the Hitman, you want to keep him around for a couple more years, especially with the popularity level of Muay Thai and kickboxing now. A name like him, Rotang, these type of names, the sport needs these superstars. So you can see the motivation to keep him around, but you saw where he was. His body just can't do it anymore. He took the gloves off, laid him in the middle of the ring, and it was really a beautiful walk-off that he did. But, people would like to see him continue to fight on, but the reality is the danger of the sport. And also the level in ONE FC is the best of the best. And Sachs, they're fighting with MMA gloves in kickboxing.
Right. That's scary.
Imagine Alexio with the...
Oh, forget it.
It's
You break
crazy.
your rib.
Yeah, I mean, just
imagine
lethal exchanges.
Yeah.
We luckily get to still enjoy him on his, all of his Instagram posts and his,
It's hilarious.
Watch his coaching videos. It's like Damian Trainer. I've seen him there. Like, when are you gonna fight again? And he's like, Nah, I'm not gonna.
These guys are some of the great ambassadors of the sport, and they've been inspirations to us. But they're great personalities. The way they talk and explain Muay Thai, they've been able to attract all different types of students into the sport, and I don't think anything's going to change. He's going to keep doing that stuff.
And I think that's great to have that the ambassadorship part of that, where these guys can retire, go in and have, put it down with a great career, put the gloves down, and still have that great ambassador role. And people still look up to him, and they can lend a lot of knowledge and a lot of panache, if you will, to the sport. So that's great if they can continue to do that.
Yeah, and it really needs that. We talk about that a lot, and one of the motivations of doing the podcast is we want to help the sport.
Yeah.
We feel like we can, and there needs to be people that are passionate behind the mic and on the stage to do it.
Yeah, and just you can see that the guys and the women that do the sport, and when it's over, you can see the passion comes out. Either if they win or they lose, it comes out. And to see how tough these guys are, and to see them, maybe they win and they're crying and they're just bleeding at the same time, and it's a great moment, really. So it's a great thing to have, people that have done it before and talk about it then, see what it is now, do the comparisons, and the ambassador role is great.
Yeah, motivate the younger guys.
Sure.
And people who are just stepping into the sport. They're definitely, Liam Harrison is a big inspiration to me coming up and watching his intensity and what he can do with that low leg kick. You just throwing that thing out there.
Incredible career.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember 20 years ago he was in the sport. I mean, amazing how long these guys have been fighting professional in Muay Thai.
In that type of you talk about football or hockey being a collision sport. It's nothing like this where there's somebody's standing across you trying to take your head off.
Yeah.
I said that's one hell of a way to make a living. That
Yeah.
really is. So tip of my hat to those guys.
Yes. Yeah. Also, that's another great part about ONE FC is these guys are making some money. Even the performance bonus, we got to see, the winners from the event. They make $50,000 performance bonus. That's nice.
Yeah.
Especially.
And it's good to see, because in the beginning it wasn't that way, right? I mean,
No.
It took a while for it to get their feet underneath them, but now they're starting to make some money, and that's a great thing. I mean, that will make the sport prosper more. When more is given out, it will prosper better that way.
Sure.
A lot of people don't realize how much professional fighters make. I broke a young boxer's heart in here the other night, and he was in here. He was picking up one of his girlfriends, his girlfriend that trains here, and he's a local aspiring amateur boxer that wants to turn pro. So I was talking to him a little about it. I told him I know about it.
Yeah.
My brother was a pro, and
Yeah.
yada yada, and we were talking about the purse and how professional boxers get paid. And he had an idea. He's like, I'm going to make between 5 and 7, when I debut. And I'm like, sorry to tell you, kid. I said
5 and 700.
1,000. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I told him.
you get to the top and you're going to make gazillions.
Yeah,
if you get to the top.
Yeah, sponsorship money. But even
Yeah.
the guys at the UFC, they don't make. I mean, ONE FC, they're paying their fighters. I don't know the numbers, but they're getting a better pay, and then they're getting the $50,000 bonus for the knockout or the finish. But from what I hear, the UFC fighters, they don't make as much money. They get they get taken care of well, but they're not like
10 and 10. 10 to show, 10 to win.
Oh.
In entry level, and that's in the UFC.
There you go.
But what about boxing? What about pro? We've talked about Muay Thai when I was matching and how much I was paying my fighters. But the boxer, when you turn pro in boxing, you start with 4 rounders, and you progress to 6 and 8, 10, and 12 rounders. So you don't automatically start with prize fighting. You start at 4-round and you get paid by the round. Whether the fight goes all 4 rounds, doesn't matter. You're going to get paid for 4 rounds, and it's between $150 to $300 a round. So I told the young man, I said, you're going to make $600, and that's on a 1099. You're going to pay tax and coach and yada yada. So, but I told him about the business. Once you build up 10 wins and you are the real deal, then you're going to start making some money, and your manager's going to know that.
Yeah.
They're going to.
He's going to make some money.
Oh yeah, they're going to get you to 15 and 0.
Yeah.
They're going to fight 5 tomato cans, and then we're all going to make some money.
Yeah, that's something. Wow.
But,
And it's been that way for a long time.
It still is.
That's the way it is, right?
Yeah, unless you're a gold medalist like Mayweather, turning pro, you're going to make that. Don't quit your day job.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And again, what a heck of a way to make a living.
Well,
Wow.
you can't. You got to be a
Something.
roofer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
So, Mr. Sachs, are you a movie fan?
I love old movies. I'm a big old movie fan. I have my favorite actors and actresses are the old school ones that, I just love to watch those guys. Me TV and Turner Classic Movies are two of my favorites. Yeah, watching them all the time.
What's your favorite baseball movie?
My favorite baseball movie, I have a couple of them. A League of Their Own, where it talks about the women when they played.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good movie. Bull Durham, I think, was a little overdone. What's the one with Kevin Costner when he's
Field of Dreams?
Field of Dreams, yeah. That's a
Such
pretty good one.
Oh,
And The Rookie, about the left-hander pitcher that was with the Tampa, that's a pretty good movie. So there is a lot of good baseball movies.
Those are great.
Still are.
I forgot. Moneyball.
Moneyball's
a good
yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about a couple of those.
Yeah.
And the one with the women, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And just
he
the
was
historical
phenomenal about it. Yeah.
the historical lesson you got in that movie with
Yep.
the dresses.
Sure.
Was
Yeah.
that a Steven Spielberg movie? I feel like it was.
Not sure.
I can't
and,
remember.
And a lot of that stuff, I think some of the names obviously changed somewhere, but a lot of those things in that movie was true. You know, how long they played, the women, what they went through, and some of the things they had to sacrifice, like leaving dairy farms and coming out and playing and those type of things. And the interpersonal stories, I think were really cool in that movie. Dottie was the best player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
That was Jessica Lange. And the relationship she had with her sister Kit, I think was great. I think it was a good part of the story.
Yeah, the costumes were really good on that one, too.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Tom Hanks,
He was
what an
phenomenal.
American
Always
legendary actor. There's no crying in baseball.
Yeah, and the time where he told the girl to hit the cutoff man, and she overthrew him, and he's trying to hold it back and not, and he goes off into the sunset, shaking. He wants to yell so bad at her, but he's trying not to. Right? That was a good part of the movie, I thought. So,
What about you, Jay? What's your favorite baseball movie?
I can't remember the lefty one with Kevin Costner. That one I watched that a lot growing up. I played travel ball till about mid-high school. And Field of Dreams was a great one. Moneyball, when that came out, I'm a big A's fan. So that's probably Moneyball is probably my favorite of them all. Just because of like the whole history of the A's is so unique, and that time period, and that never really changed. Like that was kind of like the routine that they used to pick the players, like for years afterwards.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
it was kind of like Moneyball was the way the A's played. Every year you were like, oh great, who are we going to get rid of? You got to the trade period, you knew you were going to get rid of some all-star for 3 up-and-comers, and and you're like, are any of those
because they
guys
didn't want to pay him.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay the
Yeah.
guy for the next year
Right.
after he's a free agent.
Moneyball was a good concept. The way I measure the complete success of some theory or concept is how many times did you win the World Series? And the Moneyball was 0. Okay,
They made it,
Well,
but
how
never did they win.
No, in the Moneyball era, they were in the playoffs, but they never went to the World Series.
Oh, in that era
In that era,
specifically,
right.
correct.
They never went
Right.
to the World Series either. And then some people will say, well, the Boston Red Sox adopted that, and they won the World Series. Yeah, they had Big Papi, Justin
money.
Varitek, Justin Pedroia. Yeah, I see why they won the World Series. But I think the overall way to take a team that's kind of average and make it really competitive and really good, I think that's real. And I think the whole Moneyball thing is good up to that point. But to win a World Series, you just can't take guys that are all-stars and let somebody else pay them, and you're going to take some guy from the minors that, some guys will do good. Like Max Muncy for the Dodgers was just on the scrap heap at Oakland. And the Dodgers went out and found that guy some way, like the Moneyball way. Mm-hmm. And look what Max Muncy has meant to the Dodgers the last several years. He was just a guy that hit 5 home runs in his whole career with the Oakland A's. And the Dodgers went and got him on a Rule 5 draft, took him over, and made him a big star. And so
And paying him.
and paying him, right. But
Yeah.
they're paying him too. So, that's one thing. Eventually it's going to catch up if you let the good ones go all the time and try to find some guys that it's hidden in the numbers somewhere.
You
know,
think
it's
there
kinda hard.
would have been like some moderation, like at certain points, like they'd let go of an all-star during the worst time on a pretty good trajectory, and then you're like, dang.
Yeah,
you know, like,
all the time people
it's a
say that. Like,
sting.
man, they let him go again.
Yeah.
Jars. I mean, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
Just didn't work out.
Yeah, it just didn't work out. Every time, it just didn't work out.
For the fans.
I always, I mean, I mentioned Sandlot, and as kids, we loved that just because we kind of reminded us of the neighborhood we grew up in and kind of our love with baseball. But I always liked kind of the mysticism and superstition in baseball.
There's tons of it.
A lot of weird stuff in baseball.
Tons of it.
With luck and that. So I always liked the natural.
Yeah.
With the bat. Remember
Yeah,
the
Wonder
bat?
Boy. Yeah.
And then Field of Dreams, obviously. Me and my wife, like, we watched that. We watched it a couple times, and just a different vibe to that, right?
Yeah.
With the ghost coming out of the
Yeah.
corn.
And
he's out there talking to him with the kids.
I love the old stories of baseball. I'll tell you guys a quick one. And this is about when Ted Williams was up to bat, and he was facing a rookie pitcher. And the rookie pitcher throws the first pitch. It's on the outside corner, maybe on the corner. And the umpire says, ball one. And the catcher threw the ball back to the pitcher. He snapped it down. He was a bit upset. He thought he had a strike. Next pitch he throws, same place on the outside corner. Probably caught the black of the plate. He says, ball two. And Ted Williams, because he's facing Ted Williams, right? He throws it back and he snaps it down again. He looks at the umpire with a bit of disdain. The next pitch is on the inside corner. Probably caught the plate. He said, ball three. Now the rookie pitcher's really ticked off. He walks out in front of the plate, catches the ball. He's looking at the umpire. Umpire says, timeout. Umpire takes his mask off, walks out in front of the plate. He says, excuse me, young man, Mr. Williams will let you know when it's a strike.
You're the boss.
Yeah, you better throw it down the pipe, or else I'm going to let this
He'll
guy
let you
walk.
know when it's a strike.
Yeah.
The Field of Dreams, that brought me to my favorite movie, which is 8 Men Out, about the 1919 Black Sox.
Yes.
The Shoeless Joe and the Black Sox
What a great
that
one.
threw the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep.
And great movie, Charlie Sheen, I forget who's in it, but another kind of historic lesson in baseball, and just like a totally different era.
Yeah.
And bookies.
And the Black Sox scandal was just a horrible mark on baseball. And one of the guys, Shoeless Joe Jackson, that was implicated in the whole thing, actually all the guys were exonerated when they went to trial. But nonetheless, Shoeless Joe Jackson was never let back in baseball again. And it was a shame because, I don't know for sure if they did it or not, if they did throw it, but he was never allowed back in baseball. And this is a guy that was, Babe Ruth copied his swing. That's how good of a player Shoeless Joe Jackson was. And, I actually went to his house in Greenville, South Carolina. Went to it. It's a museum now. It's unbelievable. I got a lot of pictures on my phone.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
That's probably really
I
pretty.
love that
amazing.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Can't get enough of it.
I can't imagine the memorabilia that you've seen. The gloves, the bats.
Yeah.
I was joking with you earlier about bringing one of the World Series rings. Man, I would love to see one of those in person. I can't remember if I saw it at your house.
They're big and hunky. They're too big to wear. But, and Shoeless Joe was just one of the greatest players, and a lot of people don't know about him, but he was one of the greatest players ever. And like I said, if Babe Ruth copied your swing, you're pretty good.
So I got to retract my answer. Not only is it my favorite, but it's the best. It's a documentary, but it's if you're a baseball fan and you haven't seen Ken Burns' documentary.
Oh yeah,
baseball.
that's something else. Yeah.
Crazy videos.
That's like isn't that like 8 hours long?
It's like, so they go through each inning. It's a 9. I think they have a 10th one now, or they made a 10th one. But it's each inning is about 2 to 3 hours long, and it goes through the whole start from back in France when they did stickball, and they had the whole town playing. And then the evolution of the oh man, it gives me chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
The bases. Nobody really said 90 feet was. That just happened to be the number. And if it wasn't for that number, chills again. They're still just flowing. You wouldn't see what we see in baseball.
You wouldn't be able to see a guy getting out by that much on the throw or a double play, right?
No, yeah, and there's just so much to it, and like the evolution of the outfields with the fence lines, and people back in the day they'd haggle the outfielder to $5, drop the ball. No, I'll give you $6, catch the ball. And sometimes people would shoot the ground, and it really cool documentary. I highly recommend watching that one. Ken Burns.
That is an amazing documentary, no doubt. Hey guys, I got to roll.
Yeah.
I just got a thing. I got people at my house waiting for me, so
let's wrap it up.
I knew I could. Yeah. So
we appreciate
do a
very
wrap.
much, Sax, for coming on, and Ezra, thanks for bridging this gap.
Of course. Yeah,
Hey,
it was an absolute honor.
And you guys got a great thing going. You both complement each other really, really well, and you both got a good niche on this. I think you guys are going to do real well.
Thank you.
This is a good, fun podcast, free flowing, easy. I was so nervous coming in. No, I wasn't. But it's great.
Sure.
It's a real fun place to do it too. It is very intimidating gym. I love it here. It's really nice. So thanks for having me, you guys.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thanks
you very
so much. We look forward to hanging out with you at the ball game.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. If you're like us, you've likely clashed with your training partner, leading to some painful moments. Fortunately, there's a solution. Be Jolly is a US-based company that creates all-natural pain relief products designed to ease your aches after a tough session. Their formula includes cannabis roots, CBD, coconut oil, local beeswax, and sometimes even Carolina Reaper to deliver the ultimate relief. Created with care by an owner who truly understands the importance of quality, Be Jolly products are made right here in the US. You can find Be Jolly products on Instagram at BeJollyLotion or online at BeJolly.com.